Hello, everyone. We are here again. Our second dialogue program, which John and I proposed for this year. We'll have this meeting once a month until October, the same time. Always the link for Zoom is always the same. And the intention here is not to talk necessarily about dragon dreaming directly, teaching about dragon dreaming, but of course, Dragon Dream is here with us because it's our philosophy, it's because it's our way to see the world, let's say this. And of course, everything we talk here will help us to be better in our collaborative process, in
and
our
projects.
personal growth, in building community and serves the earth. Last meeting, we had an idea from Valerie to create a Telegram group to continue the dialogue there. Some people send a number, the phone number in the chat, but I could manage to add everyone. I will put in the chat the link for Telegram group. If you feel the call and you want to join this group, you just enter and let's see what happened. I don't know what will happen, but it's open space for a dialogue. Today we will follow the same way. John will introduce something about the subject of communication. It's our subject today. I will give some contributions for the reflection, and then we open to dialogue and exchange between us. Okay? Okay, John, I pass for you to guide the Pinacari.
Okay.
I think it's important. And then
Good.
you offer your contribution.
Yes, Liz, you'll remember I sent you just recently a photo of a kangaroo.
Yeah.
Perhaps it could be made available to people. I don't know.
I don't
But the
know.
word Pinacari is an Aboriginal word, and it comes from the Great Sandy Desert, which is where the last fully tribal Aboriginal people in Western Australia lived. And they were discovered in the 1960s. There was about 20 people living in the desert. And they were brought out to a place called Jigalong. And I was in Jigalong in 1969. And I met the people of Jigalong, but I wasn't aware that I met the last Aboriginal people in Western Australia who were living a fully tribal life. And the word Pinacari comes from the Madu Mandjilajara language. And it literally means ears up. And ears up is what a kangaroo does when it pays attention to you. What I believe happens is that we human beings in our culture have a little voice in the head. And this little voice is making judgments all the time. Very often in the work I teach, I say, I know what your little voice in the head is saying. I say, your little voice in the head is saying, oh, I disagree with you, John. I don't have a little voice in my head. Or, oh yes, I agree with you. I do have a little voice in my head. Or they might be saying, what little voice are you talking about? I don't know about a little voice. That's the little voice that's talking. And Pinacari is a way of temporarily silencing that little voice. Now, Aboriginal people in Western Australia, I discovered, can do Pinacari anytime and with their eyes open. But because we get so much of our information through our eyes, I encourage people who are practicing Pinacari in dragon dreaming to shut their eyes. So please, everybody, just temporarily shut your eyes. And I want you to focus on your breathing. Listen to the sound of your breathing. Are you aware that when you breathe in, there's a high note, and when you breathe out, there is a lower note? Listen to those two notes just for a little while. Now, scientists have proven that no two people ever make the same two notes. And even with each breath you take, you don't make the same two notes as you do with the next breath. It might be a bit longer or a bit shorter, a tiny fraction of a note higher or lower. Each breath is unique, as you are unique. So listen to the sound of those two breaths. Now the next awareness. See if you can be aware that the breath you breathe in and the breath you breathe out have different temperatures. The breath you breathe in is a little bit cooler, and the breath you breathe out is a little bit warmer. See if you can feel that temperature difference as you're breathing. That temperature difference comes from the sun, captured through green leaves in the food that you eat. You are solar powered. You are powered by the energy of the sun. Now something even harder. See if when you breathe in, you are aware that the air is a little bit drier than when you breathe out. The air you breathe out is more moist. See if you can be aware of that moisture difference. Feel that energy difference, that moisture difference. %, nearly 3/4 of your body is water. And you replace all of the water in your body 26 times a year. What that means is it's probable that there's not a single drop of the water in your body right now, in the wetness of your mouth, in the water in your eyes, in the water of your breath that was there just 2 weeks ago. You replace all of the water in your body so much in a year. Now, when does that breath stop being a part of the world and starts being part of you? Is it when you breathe in and you feel the air in your nose? Or when it goes down your throat into your lungs? Is it when it leaves your lungs and travels in your blood to the cells in your body? Or is it when it leaves the cells in your body and goes back into the blood and you breathe it out? Is the air that you breathe never a finish to stop being a part of the world? And you are part of that world. Because what you're doing to that world, you're doing to yourself. And if you are truly aware, you may be able to even feel the beat of your heart. That beat of your heart started only 19 days after you were conceived in this lifetime, when you were still an infant in your mother's womb. And that beat of your heart will be with you until you take the last breath of life in this lifetime. You may even hear it as a sound as it passes through your ears. You see, Aboriginal people believe that through Pinakari, you can actually hear the song of the earth that you are a part of. It's there all the time. If you can't see it, look closer. See her creatures, they will tell you. If you can't feel it, you can put your hands into the earth and leave it there till you do. Pinakari. And if you've done this successfully, you will have temporarily silenced the little voice in your brain that's constantly talking and making judgments. And when you open your eyes, look around you, you will see there's been a shift in your perception. Colours may seem brighter and sounds may seem more clear. Open your eyes now and look around. Thank you. Pinakari. And Pinakari is a tool that you can use whenever you want in communication. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back. Okay. Communication. Svetlana just asked, will there be a recording? Yes, there will be. So that people can access this at any time. Communication is interesting because when you look at the origin of the word, it comes from the Latin word communicare. And it's basically three separate individual parts. Com, which means with or together in Latin. Now the Muni part of communication, Muni, is a very, very old word. In fact, it's over 5,500 years old, and it was a word that was spoken in the Proto-Indo-European language that used to exist in the Ukraine. And today, Indo-European languages are found from Iceland in the west into India in the east. And it's the biggest language family in the world. And Muni originally meant the changes or exchanges that link. And the Asian part of communication, the kare part in communication, actually comes from a word meaning the process of. So you can define what communication is. Communication is the process of the changes and exchanges that link us together. And it's no accident that the word communication and the word community come from the same words. Because it's communication that creates community. You can tell if you've got a true community in your projects or in your work by the quality of communication that links people together. If that communication is positive and supportive and creative, then that communication contributes to the building of community, which is the second of the two objectives of dragon dreaming. Now, in the process of communication, scientists have discovered that it's the process of communication that actually creates meaning in the world. And it's interesting that these steps of communication can be found in Jungian psychology. Jung talks about mythos. Mythos is the first stage of dragon dreaming. He suggests that the mythos, like the dreaming stage, is the process of creating meaning. The meaning that you're wanting to communicate. The second stage, he said, was not mythos, but episteme. This is where the word epistemology comes from. Episteme in communication is how do you take that meaning and turn it into a code. You encode the meaning. And you can encode the meaning in different ways. We humans encode the meaning in words. But there's also body language. And your posture, the way in which you move. We also encode meaning in written words. So the second stage of effective communication is to take the meaning that we have and encode it. Now, the third stage is called techne. Techne is how do you create the channel of communication that exists. We've got the channel of communication at the moment through Zoom. This is our channel of communication. But then there comes the final stage. And the final stage, Jung suggested, was the stage of psyche. And in the stage of psyche is the decoding of the message that was sent to you. And you're all doing that right now. You're decoding my words into meaning that you can have. So this relates very closely to the 4 steps of dragon dreaming. The dreaming stage is the stage of creating the meaning of your project. The encoding is the stage of creating the plan for your project. Creating the channel of communication is the stage of the doing of your project. And then the decoding is the stage of celebration, which leads back to a new sense of meaning. So one of the things I say about communication is that you may have seen the picture of the Dutch artist Escher, and he did a picture of 2 hands like this. And each hand was holding a pencil and was drawing the other hand. So this hand was drawing that hand, and this hand was drawing that hand. And that's the process of communication, because true communication is a circular process. You see, communication is, what did I mean? What was meant? And then, how was it sent? And then finally, how did that communication go? How did it went? Meant, sent, and went is one direction. But then true communication is when you communicate with me through your body language, through your posture, through your words. And that goes back the other way. It's what you mean, what you meant, what you sent, and how it went. And that's the process of communication. It is essential for your project, how effective your communication can be. So I'm going to take a pause there for the moment. I've got notes that we can send out to you about this process and about everything I've spoken about so far. But there's a lot more we can talk about too. Because communication can be used violently, but communication also can be used non-violently. Communication can be used competitively, but it also can be used cooperatively. And so I open it up and ask, has anyone got anything they'd like to share? You can share it as either a chat or you can share it orally with me at this stage. And Liz, if there's anything that you'd like to say, please join me.
Yes, we will follow that process. You contribute, I contribute, then we open for share with people. Yeah? I'd like to make some comments and also my reflections about this important subject of, for human beings, it's the communication. Maybe this process John just mentioned is one of the more important process between human beings, because it's when we express ourselves, we receive information from the other, and through this relation with other we can develop ourselves. I reread for bring my reflections here, David Bohm, in his book on dialogue, and also inspired me from Pedagogy of Oppress from Paulo Freire, which is a very important author and inspiration for Dragon Dreaming. From that, I believe communication needs to be beyond any technique. Because, as I say, it's a huge challenge for us human beings. But at the same time, it's a huge possibility to meet each other, to really meet each other deeply. I think it's the challenge many times, and I see it in my work with people. It's why it's so hard for us to really listen, and also to really talk our needs, what I feel, my thoughts. Why so hard? And I realize many times our communication is contaminated by our little voice, as John mentioned in Pinakari, and with suspicions, suppositions, and maybe it's the first step to overcome the process of communication. It needs to be, look myself. What's happening in myself first? I have a question for you to think about yourself. The question is, are you aware of the subtle fear and pleasure sensations that block your ability to listen freely? We could make this question for ourselves now. Do you know what happened with you? Maybe some subjects, some theme create more fear or defensive behavior. What really happened with myself? It's our first step to overcome our challenge. And because without this awareness about yourself, it's not possible we open our perception and assess this meaning and all of this process John mentioned with us. And in David Bohm's book on dialogue, which I really recommend, is here. He said, if each of us can give full attention to what is actually blocking communication, while he is also attending properly to the content of what is communicated, then we may be able to create something new between us, something of very great significance for bring to an end and at present insoluble problems of the individual and of society. So who knows me knows I always say that everything starts in ourselves, from my awareness about what's my challenge, then I can open and be available for the deep meeting, to really have the encounter of the other person, but also with the environment around me, with the nature, the earth, to really connect it as Pinakari tried to teach us. And last dialogue, we have a very interesting reflection about how to assess people, which is so far of our own context, and how we not just assess to know where they are physically to start some communication, but I think also it's a reflection how we can really communicate with people don't talk the same language we talk, don't have the same value. Because of course I have my challenge of listen, of talk, as we mentioned before, I just mentioned, but and when the other have different values, cultural, social, it makes the things much more challenged. In this idea, in this logical, we could also think that the nature of block is our own contradictions. And through my own contradiction, you can be insensible about, then it will block our capacity to truly listen. And then it started our communication. So after that, we also can take some technique to how we can really communicate better. But before any technique is, I am aware about what is my challenge. I am aware about what is my own contradictions. Maybe then I can open for others. And first of all is we look for our own process, ours. So what is the other point of our reflection here is, what is your own contradictions? I invite you to reflect about that. Of course, our current time, we are affected through what has happened in our civilization, as many social medias, which make the velocity, the demand of the things be fast and short. Have you think about that? How we are down our capacity to focus for long time conversation, for read, need everything be fast, everything be short. Of course, it affects here our communication between I and just one person. We lost our passion to really stay here and follow a thought and follow a idea, or go deep in some subject. So of course has my own contradictions, and it is influenced by others. And we see in the world now, everyone is trying to convince other about their own truth, their own opinion, their own perspective. Maturana, and I will share this thought with you because it brings for us this reflection about that. He said, it's very interesting. When one woman being tells another woman what is real, what they are actually doing is make a demand for obedience. I felt it's incredible. They are asserting that they have a privileged view of reality. I thought maybe when I'm talking about my own opinion, you wait the other obey your perspective, obey what you are saying. Could this desire of power over other be your contradiction or your challenge to engage in a dialogue, a real dialogue? David Bohm brings this concept of dialogue, which die is not two. In Greek, he says dialogue is through. So what we are having here and now is a dialogue. because some information, ideas is passed through us, and it can affect me in some level, and create a dialogue between me and myself, and between us, and between me and Earth. I felt it's much more deep concept of dialogue, and I would like to talk from this concept, because then we can amplify the effect of the environment have over me, and I have for the others. I have the effect of what I do over others and the environment. And let's see, no, not it yet. I want to share other point of view. So what is my ability to really enter in dialogue with something new can be created through this when I be affected and the other be affected too. And through this meeting, this encounter, something new can emerge. A new dream, a new solution, a new perspective. Let me, if you can, mute your microphone. Thank you. And finally, for we have time to extend. Now, yes, I would like to ask if someone could read for us this thought of Paulo Freire. Someone could read for us to listen another voice?
I can.
Great, thank you.
Because dialogue is an encounter among woman and man who name the world, it must not be a situation where some name on behalf of others. It is an act of creation. It must not serve as a craft instrument for the domination of the person by another. The domination implicit in dialogue, it that of the word by the dialogues. It is quest of the world for the liberation of mankind. Paulo Freire, Pedagogia do Oprimir.
And have another person with other quotation to end my contribution here.
Yeah, I can do that. Dialogue cannot exist, however, in the absence of a profound love for the world and for people. The naming of the world, which is an act of creation and recreation, is not possible if it is not infused with love. Love is at the same time the foundation of dialogue and dialogue itself.
Thank you. So let's open for exchange. I would like to ask if we could make a break rooms while we just talk about while we have voice for everyone. 10 minutes, and then we come back and exchange together. What do you think about this idea? Yeah? Great. Sorry, John, are you mute? Can you unmute yourself?
There's just one thing I'd like to add quickly.
Yeah, please.
Is that communication and dialogue doesn't just exist between humans. It's been discovered that dogs understand 200 words of the language you speak. You can tell a dog, sit or come, and they understand. And they communicate with you through the way they move and their posture and the way they wag their tail. And they've also found that trees communicate with other trees, not in the way in which we do, but through the roots underground, in communication with fungi in the soil. And one tree can pass a message, encode a message and pass it on to another tree. And that tree can respond and pass it back. So in this way, you can take communication into an even larger field of looking at communication across the whole of life.
Yes. And the communication beyond human being words. It's not just
way
words.
Beyond.
Make
It's not just our code.
no.
There are other bees.
Yeah.
Bees have a code where they do a little dance that shows the direction of where the flower is, where the nectar is available, and how far the bees would have to go to get there. And they communicate this code to other bees so that the bee knows where to go. And this is all around us all the time.
So my suggestion when we talk in the break rooms is what we shared affect you, make sense or not, and are you aware about your contradictions and your challenge? Let's think about that. And encounter meeting other person, of course. Maybe it's more important. Let's go. Ten minutes.
Liz,
Sim.
bom dia, gratidão.
Bom dia.
Eu vou ter que sair agora, porque eu tenho uma reunião, infelizmente,
Ah.
mas agradeço muito
Tudo
aí
bem.
o começo do dia e esses
Ah.
diálogos maravilhosos.
Bem-vinda. Então, uma vez por mês, vamos tentar aí criar esse movimento.
Maravilha, vou aparecer mais.
Adorei
Fiquei
você
muito
entrar com a
feliz.
máscara.
Até
Beijo,
logo,
bom dia.
tchau.
Tchau. Teresa, if you want to talk with me, and also Luis, I'm here. Hello, Cíntia.
Hello.
Enough time? Foi suficiente tempo?
Foi ótimo.
Tá bem, sim, estava com a Eliona. A Eliona é uma querida.
Foi muito bom. Ai, Lisandra, quero te agradecer muito.
Ai, o quê?
Muito. Olha, essa ideia...
Gostou? Que bom.
Muito. Fiquei super emocionada na cara.
Ah, que
Aliás,
bom, querida. Julian, bueno verte. Good to see you.
Yes,
How are you?
very well.
Great. Hello, people. So we could open, you just open your microphone and share, and we start our dialogue. What would you like to share? Comment, question?
Hello.
Hello. Good to see
Hello,
you.
Liz. This is Beatrice from Spain. How are you?
Good. Good to see
I
you.
just want to thank you, everyone. Thank you, John, for this conference. I went too late, and but it's been so inspiring. I've been taking notes, and I really want to appreciate this thing you do for us and for the world. And for me, it's been like an aha to know that communication. Do you hear me well? Because I'm in a terrace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Because for me, it's been like a really aha to know that our contradictions are the one that is blocking our communication in community. And right now I've got a kind of a thing going on in my near team of communication, of a project, and we've got a thing in communication, and I can feel this is really the thing, but we haven't gone into this yet, no? So we have to see about our contradictions and how we are managing relationships, which is also something John always said, is creating the links for the community, and how we are managing our mochila, like the things we have from our traumas and things, and how we are taking these in order to communicate in a very good way between our very good pals, and mates and colleagues and things, because if not, we're not creating a community between us. So thank you very, very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you to share it. Touch my heart. You bring so much clarity, also add clarity for our reflection. Thank you.
It reminds me very much of the 4 steps of M. Scott Peck in his book on building community making and peace, A Different Drum. And he says that when you are communicating to build community, the first stage is pseudo-community. And he says in the pseudo-community stage, we pretend that it's easy. We pretend that, community is there. And that's the first stage. Beatrice, it sounds like you're maybe moving into the second stage, which he says is chaos. And he says that people don't like chaos. And so what they try and do is they try and put pressure on the person who they think is the leader of the project to go back to pseudo-community. But M. Scott Peck says, no, the chaos stage is positive because people stop pretending. They stop pretending just to be always nice and good and always everything goes easy. But he says that the chaos stage, to get out of the chaos stage, is to go into the third stage, which is what Liz was talking about, which is emptying, which is to realize that the blockages aren't just out there. They are also in here, in me, and that I too am blocking. And the fourth stage happens, he says, when you move through that stage of emptying, because that stage of emptying is to sacrifice something of yourself in sharing the way in which you're blocking it. And he says that is the stage that leads to true community. And he says true community is glorious. When you get to that fourth stage, it is so glorious. It's what we human beings truly hunger for, what we're looking for. So thank you, Beatrice, for sharing what you shared.
Thank you, John. It's like I think now my heart's like more open, and I remember once that you were in Spain, you talked about Scott Peck and you did this graphic in a napkin. We were in the bar and you were talking about how we learn and how it's related to the stages of community. And I think this is also what you're talking about, and how we are in a stage where we are supposed to make an evolution or not. Thank you.
So who want to share, just to open your microphone and maybe you can bring your experiences, what you experienced through these subjects, or what do you discover about yourself? What are you aware about yourself? Do you, John? Are you aware about your own challenge?
Yes, we had a very interesting discussion about language. And I am aware of the advantage I have that I speak English and how that conditions my own thinking. And how when we speak different languages, you see the world in a different way. So I'm aware that, Liz, when I was in Brazil trying to learn to speak Portuguese, I came to see you in a different way, and I came to see myself in a different way because of the bias and the prejudice and the inbuilt structures just of the language that we speak.
And it's a challenge. What is your challenge?
The challenge is to be aware of that. To be aware of the prejudice of my own language.
Okay. So, Valerie, you.
I think I just had an aha moment, which is still creating a shape while talking in a small group. But I just thought, and I was talking about a moment that, for example, I speak quite slow, and then I sometimes receive feedback that for some people it's not easy to receive what I say because it's very slow, because they used to have faster speaking people, and yeah, so, and at that moment I come to the question, should I speed up myself to be heard? And we did talk that it's, of course, it's a co-creative process. It's both sides need to find the agreement. But then what is, I want to be heard, and another someone who I want to talk with don't want to, like what's happening in social media right now. Everybody are screaming, everybody are grabbing the attention. And if I really want to speak to those people, like on Instagram, like I started doing now, I kind of need to do it in a way how they can receive it. I need to be loud, I need to be fast, I need to be bright and provocative maybe, and trigger. This is how, this is the language that is now understood, but this is not my language. This is not how I feel good in communication. So here at this part, I now feel the challenge, how to create the dialogue and at the same time be myself, be in my own values.
Amazing, thank you. I share
Thank you.
it. I also feel some challenge of, I need time to think and to receive. And sometimes the other person just speak over and I have no time to understand and to give it, okay, now I can give some answer or add something. I think a similar challenge, when we have no time, and how we can create time between us. I think about that. I have no answer. I try something. I will try testing, but I believe be aware about that really help us to start to take some way, to test some way. Yeah? Thank you. I share the same. Ileana and Julia. She, Ileana? I think she fell. So, Julia, I pass to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I meditate on one part of the quotation you made of Paulo Freire. At the end, he said, "Love is at the same time the foundation of dialogue and dialogue itself." And I find it very inspiring, and I wonder how does it translate in my life and in reality. And I connected to charismatic communication and this internal posture that we have, and to have this bubble of love that that enlarge. And I don't know if John, you bring charismatic communication inspired by these words, but yeah, I found a connection. It's kind of aha. And I think how to cultivate more of this charismatic communication in the real world and with the chaos of the world sometimes, and how to educate people to try this. It's quite easy to get people to try and to discover it. It takes few minutes, and I think it can be a powerful tool to give to everybody. Maybe I will do it even more, and not just in dragon dreaming workshops. And thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
Yeah, is it?
I agree. It's a skill that you can practice in the dragon dreaming workshops, but like a lot of the tools in dragon dreaming, is how do we take it out into the world, and how do we apply it across all aspects of our life? So thank you for your comment. It's really powerful.
Thank you.
I think Ilona fell. If someone wants to add, contribute. I add here, I spoke in the beginning. The last meeting emerged the idea to have a Telegram group for we continue support and bring there practice, experience, challenge. At the moment, it's me, Valerie, and Ilona, because we just opened that. But you are welcome to enjoy the Telegram group of dialogues, for we have this space. No more from people is here, and I don't know what will happen with it. Let's see. It's a dialogue.
Lissandra, I just tried out to join via the link, and Telegram told me that the link is outdated.
Well, let me see.
Maybe you need to create it newly, or I don't know.
Probably. Let me see, then you can also tell me if it works or not.
Or maybe you can just add me into the group, because I am already I'm using Telegram, so you could find me.
Some people
It works for me. I've just got in.
It worked for you.
You know. Yeah. I don't know what's happening, but I just got in. Thank you.
Okay, I try again. Sorry.
If you're not, I try add you, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Well,
Liz, just one thing.
Yeah.
I sent through to you, and I don't know if you've got it, the questionnaire that I was.
No, it's not the point, John. Sorry, it's not the point. Okay. I will do that. Okay.
Good.
Okay, yes. Well, nice. Now we have more people in our group. It's nice. Hello. Super. So, if no one wants to add, maybe we can start to end. If you could share, we could take a picture. Yeah, if you want to appear in the picture, let's do that. Pia, you are, maybe you, yes.
Renato too.
Renato, I don't know if he can open the camera. Yeah. Nice, thank you. And the other meeting will be always last Wednesday of the month, and the name will be Active Learning, How to Learn in Controversies. Oh, it's a huge challenge. Who did it, John? Who proposed the subject?
Oh, I think there's a certain person who we created it as a dialogue.
Well, it will be a very nice reflection. I love the subject, but it's not the challenge. Do you want to say something? Yeah.
Yeah. When did you say is going to go this one?
Will be always is the last Wednesday of the month, the same time.
Last
be-
Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, and well, I always send the invitation again to remember, and if you click in the link, we also have a calendar of dialogue if you want to add the calendar on your Google Calendar.
The last Wednesday of the month is the 31st of May.
Yeah.
The last day of May.
In May will be this, the same time. And maybe we could share how are you living? How are you living the meeting? Just open your microphone and then we can hear our voice. We are not so many. Some people need to leave.
I can start if nobody else starts. I live enriched and very lively and inspired, because it's always inspiring to listen to you, John and Lisandra, to you as well, because you have another culture in your background and you think differently about things. So it always adds something to John's knowledge, and I really enjoy that a lot. Thanks.
Thank you.
I can continue. I'm happy to be connected. It's a great opportunity to really feel we are together and in the same process. And I live with one aha, which I find a good outcome. Thank you for keeping the space open.
I'd like to say thank you for this session, and this that was in the start of this process. It's like a pinakar, it's like a meditation actually, and continues for me in our conversation with Valeria. It's like I have some thought that it's a very difficult and important to have a stop and have a conversation with yourself. It's very difficult because I know how find way to communicate with other person, but I can't any strategy to communicate with myself. And I live with this question, how to communicate with myself. Thank you.
And speak. I feel inspired, and maybe inspired also to maybe learn another language, to discover another culture. I have to dance with some dragons to do that. But yeah, I'm feeling inspired that another language is another way to think and to see the world. So, and I feel gratitude for you to Liz and John to open these dialogues. So thank you very much, and see you for the next one.
Teacher, would like to say?
I'm very thank you. I'm very happy to be here with John and you and you all. I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, I think Renato and Bia left, and the number phone here, they cannot speak. Probably they are in, I don't know. So you, John, how are you living?
Aha. I just love this work so much. And it's so good to reconnect with you all, and that old friends and new right around the planet. And it's nearly 9 o'clock at night here in Western Australia. So I'm aware that you are all living at different times. Renato was just finishing his breakfast when we were in the chat room together. And what a world we're living in. And I honestly feel that through the communication we share, we can stimulate the creativity that we are urgently needing right now on a massive scale to solve the problems of the world. And I don't know, but maybe Cynthia or maybe Louisa, in your projects that you do, you're going to make a discovery that will really help transform it for all of us. I know that Nara Petrovic from Slovenia has created the biggest project ever done on Earth. And I know that on the 18th of September in 2018, in 140 countries, using Dragon Dreaming, he got 17 million people out onto the streets, and they collected millions of tons of rubbish for recycling in 24 hours. And that's the possibility that we're sharing here. This is the way in which we have a chance to build a world that works for everybody, and a world that can overcome any of the catastrophes that confront humanity, whether it be in Ukraine or whether it be in the Sudan or Somalia or any country, that this sort of technique that we are pioneering through this work has the ability to make those differences. So thank you, Liz, for opening the dialogue and for recording this. And thank you all for joining us here, and spread the word and encourage others to come and join us. And we'll see you on the 31st of May. All the very best. Good night.
Thank you, John. Well, thank you too, because we created together this idea. The idea was how we could do something, join Australia and Brazil and the Open. And I am grateful for the technology, and we can make a good use of that. Yeah? It's something is not good, but we can depend of us to use what we have, the resource we have, in a good way. And I think we are. And I leave with
Beleza.
some questions.
Assim já, ô?
Peraí,
Então tá.
peraí,
Já,
deixa eu
pô.
fechar o Renato. I leave with some questions. I think it is also a connection for our other meeting, because one way to active learning, I think, is to enjoy the question. I think today I just reflect from some thoughts I have, thoughts from authors I admire, and it creates me these questions which I can put in practice and test and reflect, and in this movement, how it affects me, how some experience affect me and improve my way to be in the world, my way to connect with others. And from what your contributions also bring me some questions and some ahas of that. I enjoy with you many of your talents. I share your talents too, and I think it maybe me connect with you too, by our own talents and our own contradictions, and it make me a human being. And then I can be truly in the world. No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I want to appreciate these moments, and I was in my mobile and I was thinking, how many people are here? And I saw the participants and I said, we're just 10. And I said, how can this be? No, we have to make maybe a reflection, like thinking about what's going on, because here in Spain right now, all the workshops I tried to do about dragon dreaming, they're not going on. they're not going out. And people, they ask me, when are you doing the Dragon Dreaming? I said, I took 2 and it's not working. So how can we have this magnificent conference and then, thank you, and then don't have like the people, gracias. Ay, muchas gracias. And how can we have this fantastic conference and just have 10 people, and it was shared in the Dragon Dreaming International Telegram group, and also I'm not sure about the community in Spain because I haven't seen that. I think it was not shared, but this is my thinking for the next, because this has to be with communication and how we're doing things, and why right now it's like a moment where it's not so clear what Dragon Dreaming, or for me it looks like it's not so clear what Dragon Dreaming does for the world, and how can people contribute or take advantage of this Dragon Dreaming, which is something John created for the world, and it's like a big umbrella with a lot of interesting things, no? And I work in process work, and I am a Jungian lover also, and how is this not connecting with people right now, because it was huge like 5 or 10 years ago, but right now I don't know where people are. So thank you.
Beatriz, I think you bring many thoughts and reflection, not just one, and well, it could be another dialogue. We have not so much time for that, but I believe also now it's also what we talked today as so much information in the last 5 years. And I'll give you one thought before we finish, because the time is end. Maybe we need to think about quality and less quantity. I think today we have a deep quality and connections. Maybe the world now is thinking so much about quantity, more and more and more and more. How we can really communicate in best quality. And if you have 10 people, but you go deep and create a connection, I live so happy today, because we really create a connection here. And I'm so happy. So, well, we can continue it in the active learning next meeting, because also it's about learning. Okay?
So just to be sure, you say last Wednesday of the month, same
It's
time.
31st.
Is that correct?
31st of May.
Same time. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you use the calendar Google, I put it in the chat. Also, I can put in Telegram group the link for the calendar Google Calendar of Dialogue. Okay, so thank you for this connection, to see all of you. I'm so happy we can meet each other once a month. Bye. Have a good evening, afternoon, good morning.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you, John and Liz. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao, gracias.
Thank you.
Ciao.